It's no easy task coming into an area like Kaikohe and knowing some of the challenges. If you get a venue, you're liable to have graffiti on it overnight. If you get a venue, you're liable to have a break-in. If you get a venue, then you have to look at areas of renovations, securities. Ironically, it's in these same areas where Iōatua, the God of Abraham, Almighty God, looks to do something special in these days. I'm looking at this real estate. I'm considering finding out who I need to speak to. How can I lease this at this time? Because real estate, and it doesn't matter how polished it may look, is only real estate. You can have the most elaborate and beautiful, stunning building, but at the end of the day, seismic activity, adverse weather conditions, anything like that, and the real estate doesn't exist. What makes real estate is not so much the cosmetic look of the building, it's not so much the nice air conditioning, it's not so much parking space, it's not so much having a nice roof with good guttering and all these sort of things. What makes real estate is God's blessing in the real estate. Can you imagine this? That a venue, yes, like this, that's been vacant now for a few years. The previous tenant of Trump Cafe, he ended up getting out of this business largely because he got broken into several times and it just got too much for him. And so he left the business, he got out of the business, etc. They are the challenges, but can I tell you something, and I can say this prophetically to you. When you get real estate that has God's favor upon it, when you get real estate that has God's blessing upon it, when you get real estate of that kind, then what is real estate suddenly becomes a habitation for Iōatua. What is real estate suddenly becomes a dwelling place of His goodness. And then you get what is called a dimension shift. Suddenly the real estate is no longer just real estate. Suddenly the real estate becomes a wharekariki o te atua, a house of prayer. This is site 2 that I'm looking at in terms of taking possession of real estate. My feeling is for an area like Kaikohe, and I suppose the same could be said for many areas. A lot of times we can have an auditorium, which is quite a large piece of real estate, but in that large piece of real estate often it's redundant for a lot of the week, and you might use it on a Sunday for a service, you might use it for a worship practice or even a prayer meeting or something like that, but a lot of times that auditorium is redundant. That to me is not my vision in terms of what I want to do in Kaikohe. I want to get a venue that can actually be more pragmatic, where we can set up offices, run smaller programs, look at medical, look at sound engineering, video engineering. If I had it my way, I'd love to do something in the area of exercise, fitness, because that's all therapeutic for the well-being of everybody. So I'm now looking at Site 2 behind me in terms of a base for the ministry, that we may be able to run all these areas, and maybe even education can come into the package. There are needs here. Actually, there are needs in all of Northland. Dream with me. This would be very good for medical officers here, officers there, etc. It's a hypothetical at the moment. This is not going to be it's only draft form of how I see this venue being used. One of the big areas, as you understand, is employment. Because in employment, people get confidence building, etc. Unemployment is a major issue within the Northland area. Imagine in this room that I'm having training in terms of leadership, training in terms of trading, how to take novel and make it commercially viable, which is to deal with intellectual property, how to just get the creative juices going. I believe, those of my watchers, that everybody possesses a gift. I believe that. I believe the Creator, we have been made in His image, and it said God created. Therefore, I believe people have that opportunity. You know, a lot of times people will take less pay if they're going to get their creative juices climaxed and maximised, because they get a sense of purpose. And purpose is important because you've got to get up tomorrow. These are the thoughts I have. I'm going to need everybody's assistance to make this happen.